Hello. Can you guys hear me? Oh no. Stop trolling me. Hi Crash. Welcome. 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 Chris. Gareth. My dude.
Hello. Hello.
Ooh, Gareth, you're a little low.
It's his new mic. It takes like
It's
a
gotta
nuclear bomb going off in order to activate it.
it's gotta warm up.
Yeah, it's got like it's like the noise suppression kind of thing where it doesn't activate unless it hears your voice.
Oh, interesting.
Am I better now, or is it still?
Not even a. Oh wait, hold on.
You started to come in.
Yeah, you started to come in.
Was it like this 5 minutes ago?
Oh,
Or?
you're good. You're good now. What the hell? All right, you're good.
It's
It
always
wasn't.
Okay.
It
I haven't
wasn't.
told them that though.
Yeah, it was actually like that, like the whole last hour, but we just wanted to not say anything until now.
Okay, great.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Uh, all right, guys, welcome. What number economic forum are we on right now? Number 10?
Yeah, number 10.
How's it feel? The Big 10, double digits, 10 months. What are you guys gonna do for your 1 year, by the way? 12, number 12, the Big 12.
I don't know. 1 year that'll be May. Won't be quite too. It won't be warm enough here for speedos, but
Speedos. Oh my gosh.
thinking like a speedo show.
I'm excited for
I
this
was thinking
economic
more
forum,
like
though.
for the 1 year. I'm thinking more like everybody that joins gets a billion atlas or something.
Oh wow, dude!
Billion.
That's
There's
genuinely
46
on the
billion atlas in
same.
this room right now.
That's
Yeah.
on the same kind of wavelength that I've been saying, where everyone gets a boost on Maidenheart. So I think we can work together on that one. To be honest, maybe everyone gets a billion atlas and a boost on Maidenheart.
Yeah.
I
That's
like that.
speaking from someone who wants to reward the community, not someone part of the Star Atlas economics department.
Cool. Okay, guys. Well, I think we could. Probably get started. Economic forum number 10. Really excited for this one. We've had a lot of things happen over the last month. Specifically, just yesterday, we came out with fleet rentals. There's been some other really cool stuff that you guys are going to talk about. So I'll turn it over to you guys to kind of get us started here for economic forum number 10. How you guys doing?
I'm doing good. I will be sharing my screen here in a moment, kicking us off. And then Chris, feel free to jump in whenever, but when we get to slide number 6, we'll probably have a bigger part to play there. All right, let's jump right in. Let me know if you guys can see.
Can't see, but I just saw a quick comment. Did you guys see that the first Titan was rented yesterday? Were you guys able to see that?
I don't. So I'm currently pulling in everything. We currently have streams underway. I only have aggregate rates, durations, fleets outstanding. I don't actually have the compositions of the fleets in yet, so I actually did not know that.
I'm glad I could break the news. Somebody rented the Pierce T1.
How much?
That's awesome.
Super cool.
$180 a day times 365. 65,700. That seems pretty cheap, to be honest, for a multi-million-dollar asset. $65,000 a year to rent it. It's really interesting to see the prices emerge. That's something that I was I was a staunch advocate for, like, let the prices just clear. Like there's some assistance you want to do, but the market will find the way, especially since most of the ships are pretty homogenous.
Well, whoever rented that one, you got the Chris approval. Great job.
So just want to confirm you guys can see the slideshow.
Yep, we gotcha.
Okay, sweet. Sweet. Yeah, we'll get into some rental discussions in a bit. As you guys can see in this agenda, we have a brief community dashboard update. We'll talk about fleet rentals, go over the locker addendum and some of the feedback. Then we'll talk about free to play, which we broke base on in the last addendum, and then we'll go into Q&A. All right. So community dashboard updates. There's not a massive new section like there have been in the previous. There's a bunch of stuff going on the back end that's sort of affecting that, but the updates that I wanted to share today, Galactic Marketplace price history view to the local price table. So you can see the average prices across local markets relative to that of the Galactic. Now, if you click on a local market, it doesn't show the Galactic Marketplace price of the resources using those local market prices as reference. The Galactic Marketplace price only shows up when you interact with the resources on the left or on the above table in aggregate. What you can do is you can click back and forth. Like, it's not a huge issue. It's more trying to line up with the beta tools currently available with Looker Studio and how they interact with global variables. So still very usable, just don't be surprised when the Galactic Marketplace comparison goes away and you try to filter down all the way to the individual markets. But that's something that a bunch of you guys were asking for, which is an easy to view comparison. Super excited to add that. And then also Galactic Marketplace price history is another thing. We didn't have a date breakdown, but now you guys can filter by date and zoom in. Here in the screenshot, we see Jan 1st to March 6th for the Mamba X in the USDC currency. And you can see on the right side that is restricted. Now, the volume, that's a bit of a glitch, but that will be reflected today or tomorrow alongside average in the time period. Just got to debug those. Speaking of bugs as well, there is a bug on some of the price charts, especially for very small or low priced assets in like the 0.000 Atlas range, where on hover, like if you hover on any of these charts, it'll appear as 0. We are trying to debug that. It seems to be a Looker Studio issue, just not wanting to display super low numbers or extremely long significant figure numbers within the hover container. So it's just automatically appearing as 0, which is annoying. But we are looking to troubleshoot that because I know you guys like to see the prices on the exact day. And having it at 0 is kind of annoying, but trends are still visible. That'll be debugged soon. And then upcoming releases are fleets. We are going through a server migration alongside a big fleet data initiative. So that has been pushed back a little, but will be released ASAP. Game activity lookup is halfway done. DAO Treasury View is almost done as well. We're just lining up our current DAO view that we have available now to the features in the dashboard. And the dashboard will be arguably more accurate, more interactable. You'll be able to get more granular with that. So basically a better DAO Treasury view there. And then obviously rental markets, we'll have a view coming out for that pretty soon as well. As soon as those streams are up, it'll be pretty trivial to get that online for you guys. Excuse me. But yeah, some smaller updates today, some bigger updates coming very, very soon. And yeah, it's about it for the community dashboard update. I can't currently see Discord, Dom. Does anyone have any questions?
Let me ask for some community dashboard questions real quick. We do have one question, but I'm saving that for a second. Does anyone have any questions about the community dashboard? By the way, Gareth, I mean, everything's looking great. Everything is moving in such a cool direction. And I mean, Star Atlas is all about data, and this dashboard is your best friend. So Yeah, Earther says dashboard is great. Next issue. So yeah, well, let me give it like 30 more seconds. Let's see if anyone has a question. I see Groove isn't typing. So, okay, Groove said, where are you pulling the history data from?
So our history data is all pulled directly on chain. We have a whole backend that's streamed through the Hello Moon data provider. And what happens from there is once we get all this raw unparsed data, we parse it out, and that all eventually leads into our what we call our BI layer, which is fully cleaned max Q possible data sets, and that's what these dashboards are pulling from. We do have to create some custom views because of the Looker Studio constraints. We have to really make these data sets custom for Looker Studio, but in the grand scheme of things, where this is all pulled directly on chain and then streamed into our own custom backend Star Atlas database, and then projected to the front end through these dashboards.
And then Katir just made a comment saying, I wish to see some players' wallet information, leaderboards, just like Afia Flipside. I think that's some of that's encompassed in the game activity wallet lookup, right? In the roadmap, Gareth?
So we one of the benefits of Flipside is its ability to handle tons and tons of data like that. And basically, you're when you perform those lookups, you're looking through tens of millions of rows, and tens of millions of rows are being filtered to be able to get those insights. We have every single data point you could possibly imagine. It's just making it in such a way where it doesn't take 5 minutes to load wallet activity history. So that's sort of the bottleneck, is the infrastructure on flip side of being that of optimized for front end versus our stuff, which is tons and tons of data, tons and tons of columns, condensing and optimizing for this Looker Studio front end view. Definitely on the way though. You can expect that in the next couple updates.
Very cool. Gareth, Chris, I do have some questions not on the topics you guys have right now. Do you guys want to wait until Q&A? Or do you guys want to do that right now while we have it? Up to you guys.
Let's wait till Q&A, because I can get through the topics. I know the last topic will probably have a ton of questions too. But yeah, Dom, if you could hold on to those and we can get to them at the end.
I'm saving them. I'm saving them in my little piggy bank.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, so fleet rentals just came out, as most of you guys will probably be aware of. Again, mention we're working on the stream still, but yeah, from what I have access to currently, and these numbers are probably lower, but because these were run this morning, but 230 users, about 3,000 unique transactions. Right now, about 100, well, assume like closer to 200 now, but about 150 fleets are being currently rented out in Sage, which is awesome. Median Atlas contract yield. So this is essentially what the median person is collecting per day who's renting out their fleet. It's about 160 Atlas. The mean is about 805. So you see, a big discrepancy between median and mean occurring because the yield of a smaller fleet is much, much lower than that of a Titan fleet, which we are now aware has been rented out. So the top chart on the right, that's just really transaction instructions firing off cumulative over time. Accept rental, cancel rental, close contract, and create contract are sort of the primary ones that we stream, even though we stream and transfer, initialize, all this other stuff that is part of these instructions. Nothing really huge takeaway other than the fact that there's a lot of activity for creating contracts. And again, this was cut off about 4 or so hours ago, so this will be continuing to climb. More interesting charts below that, we see median rental rate. Now this is just the daily rental rate median value across hour. You can see massive spikes up to that 800 to 1,000 Atlas per day. but most of it, or sorry, it's 8,000 to 10,000 atlas per day. But the median here across the entire time span is about 1,000, which is cool. So if you're, I mean, we still have to look at fleet comp, but if you're a median player, 1,000 atlas seems to be that daily yield from your rented fleet. And then we see duration on the right hand side. Really cool to see longer periods being rented. Personally, I was expecting lower just while people tested it out, and created, wanted to see how type of demand for their fleets. But right away, we're seeing, 25-day rental contracts, 2-week rental contracts, which is really, really awesome. Demand for fleet rentals has obviously been a big discussion point in the community, and especially with the addendum, which we'll get to later. Like, there's lots and lots of what if this, what if that's. Some of the questions we're looking at is dormant to active fleets. So these are people that, if you're familiar with the census, are basically non-resident NFT holders. These people do not participate in Score or Sage and just have ships kind of laying dormant, unproductive in their wallets. So we're looking to see what that transition looks like. We're looking to see what the Score transition looks like. And, we're very aware people are currently running the numbers, see if transition is even worth it with current demand. We currently think it is, at least for a select subset of fleet compositions, and what's currently in demand right now. So that's going to be cool to look at. We're looking at impact on volume, impact on prices. There's a few more micro things we're looking at behind the scenes as well, but you'll notice a similar trend. All of these are a function of demand. So what that means is we want to see what demand looks like across the individual fleet compositions, because mining fleets will obviously be significantly more in demand than combat fleets currently. Even though combat fleets do still mine, we'd like to see how that progresses over time, because demand is really what's going to fuel these rental markets. So yeah, if anyone has any immediate questions, we can cover those, or I can continue on.
I actually do have a fleet rentals question here. This is coming from Virtual. So, interested in your guys' thoughts on this one. A lot of us are not fans of the scores, the mining score as an example for rentals. Why not use the actual numbers as an example, using the aggregated actual mining rates versus a new formula? Most of the Sage players are used to the real numbers. This is just adding confusion. And then somebody responded to that saying that for the new person, for the new player coming in, they would maybe understand this number that you guys used instead. So there was some back and forth, and then Virtual said again, what if you guys used a star system, like up to 5 stars? So kind of interested in your guys' thoughts on this one. But yeah, I'll mute up and then get you guys' thoughts.
I'll hop in here, Garrett, because I think I might have a little bit more context on the situation as it's developing. So
Sure.
we basically implemented some initial scores that are mostly placeholders for the time being. Basically, we wanted a way for people who are new to the game to get an understanding of what a good fleet is before they rent it, right? So, I'm sure that everybody in this channel right now understands what are good stats and what are bad stats, and they can kind of do that math pretty quickly. But for somebody who's new to the game, they don't know that a mining rate for let's call it a $1 a day fleet, a mining rate of 325 is really good. They're looking for, like you suggested, a star system, something like this. So one of the first tasks that we're going to be, working on over the next couple of weeks is a score system for the fleet rental protocol. So basically, we'll just have a better way of ranking these fleets based on their size, based on their price. There's a lot of different ways to do this. And what we're basically coming up with is what would be called a matching algorithm in the industry. So this is like, okay, how do we come up with some sort of propensity score for this object and how well it matches with the user? The user has their own set of preferences and kind of their own scoring system, and we want to present the score of the fleet in a way that they can quickly evaluate that do that math. So there are a bunch of different variables that are at play here. So there's the actual stats of the fleet itself, there's the price of the fleet itself, and then the other question is, okay, well, should a fleet that's bigger than another fleet have a higher score? Or should two fleets that are of different sizes but both optimal have the same score? So let's think about this 5-star system. If we, for example, go for absolute power, then even if you're a small, efficient fleet, let's say you're an Armstrong tip, which is that's a good ship. It's a great mining ship. If we go for absolute power, we're going to have a 1-star rating for that ship and a 5-star rating for, let's say, a commander like the C-11. So it's like, okay, that's not a good way to do it. So there's a lot of different variables we're trying to work through. How when do we use absolute value? When do we use relative values? And which variables are the ones that are interesting? So we'll kind of work through that. I agree with the statement, like the variables, the stats of the fleet should be available anyway. So I think it's in development. We're working on it. I think the stats of the fleet should be available to see, and then we just want kind of like an overall score, like what is the score of this fleet, compared to other equal size fleets. So that's going to be a tricky thing to balance, because we want to both capture like I said, the kind of relative value of this fleet compared to other fleets of its similar size. But we do also want to capture that absolute value. Like, how is this comparatively? How does this thing compare to other fleets? Because we care about price. So you might see 2 5-star fleets, and you see one that's cheaper, and you say, oh, well, they're both 5-star. I'm going to go with the cheaper one. Wait a minute, I'm getting a worse yield than the other fleet, even though the other fleet had the same score and it was more expensive. So there's, it's a complicated issue, and that's why I want to take some time to evaluate, to come up with a good algorithm that spits out meaningful results. We want to go for meaning. We want impact over accuracy, to be quite frank. So like accuracy would give you all the stats, but that has no impact. You're basically unable to evaluate the value of a fleet if you're just given an overwhelming amount of data, versus 100% impact, which is just like a 5-star system that tells you 1 through 5. While that's super impactful, it allows you to quickly evaluate the fleets and come to a decision. It's not super insightful in terms of the actual statistics. So we want a nice balance of the two. So that's something we'll be working on over the next probably a month or so, getting that implemented.
We've had a pretty good point here. I like this one. Perhaps make it clear that the score is in relation to the cost and not its actual performance. I think, but I liked everything that you said there, Chris. I think it's a balance, and you have to figure out the best way to say something. But yeah, I like what Groove said there for sure. Oh, any other? Sorry, Gareth. What'd you say?
I was going to say, Chris put it really well. But yeah, if there's any other questions.
Any other questions before we move on from fleet rentals, everybody?
I do want to point out real quick, we will, my understanding is we actually have an update to the actual formula coming out very soon. I believe I had them remove the ammo consumption rate. Let me just see what I said. Yeah, we'll see how the new one works. So the lower your burn rate, the way this one works, the lower the burn rate, the higher the score. But we'll see how it ends up. This is like super early days, but basically, right now the way that it works is ammo consumption actually destroys the score, which it shouldn't. But so there's an update coming out. I don't know when it'll go out, but we've already changed the formula. Yeah,
thank you, Ronald, by the way. Earther said, please add fleet size. I'm just going to say that because he said that a couple times.
Yeah, I think that's one of those variables that's going to go into the like the new score will be, or when we get our official scoring system, um, it'll be basically some sort of size category, and then within that size category, you have your relative score. So, okay, this is a size 1-star fleet, and it's a performance 5-star. So
Mhm.
then you've got like your two different metrics that you can use. Okay, this is a small fleet, but it's super efficient. This is a large fleet, and it's super inefficient. So 5-star, 1-star, for example.
Very cool. And just last thing on that, and I like this a lot. It reminds me of when you're opening a crew card and you can hover over it and get a bunch of stats. So Ronald said, would be great to get a tooltip with the breakdown when hovering over the score. I'll leave it at that. We've been on this for a bit, but that's pretty cool.
Sweet. Yeah, that's great. If that's everything, Dom, then we can
We are good on the fleet rental questions from what I've seen.
awesome. Sweet. Yeah, exciting stuff. Again, as Chris said, very early. Just happy that we were able to get this out to you guys when we did. But yeah, lots of updates coming soon that you guys can look forward to. Sweet. Yeah, next topic is the addendum. We actually haven't had a forum since that was released. So thought we'd touch on it here. I know there's been a lot of discussion as well about this, specifically, potential changes that we could implement or adjustments to current numbers specifically. We can touch on that in a second. I did want to show this chart on the right though, and it's pretty self-explanatory. The red line is where the addendum launched. Cumulative atlas in the locker over time, plotted with the black line. Despite market conditions, we are seeing, sustained upwards trends in locker participation slash, amount locked. These massive spikes up in the locker quantity locked are actually during times of uh, relatively depressed Atlas price. So not entirely surprising to see this uptrend sort of continuing here after this dip post Atlas run up. So um, yeah, just pretty cool to see that people are at least still participating and interested in locking despite the volatile markets. With the addendum specifically, for those of you that haven't read it, super briefly, changes to tiers, the addition of 2 new tiers. We have gameplay benefits laid out through crafting fees, respawn reduction. We have network blockchain fee subsidization, sorry, which is awesome. We have faction fleet benefits, fleet rental benefits, and more fleet discounts for fleet rentals. So um, super cool. If you guys go into announcements and scroll up once or twice, you'll see the full documentation, which you can take a look at. One of the things that, or one of the discussion points that I thought we could touch on was the, I guess, the ability to change some of the values, specifically with some of the, I guess, perceived pay to win functionalities, such as, respawn time. Some could argue crafting fee subsidization. One thing I did want to say before, I guess, passing it over to some of the maybe Discord comments about this would be that um, these benefits are an upgrade to the locker, but also directly impact the amount of locked Atlas that will go into the locker, which inherently helps support wages over time. So making the locker attractive and reducing pay to win functionality is almost is almost not I don't want to say not possible, but not
They clash with
advantageous
each
given
other.
our
They
current.
clash
Yeah,
with each other.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good way to put it. Just given the amount of gameplay features that are currently available, and as we release new products and things, these benefits will expand, and maybe certain ones are nerfed or buffed over time. Again, being sensitive to the locker participants, dedicated Atlas locked. But yeah, the impacts the Atlas locker has on metrics like price, trade volume, variance when it comes to volatile low time frame periods is very high. So the trade-off that you'd get, for example, removing a respawn reduction benefit, um, might be small, but we would definitely want to test that and see, okay, is this something people really value, or are we going to have a large amount of people locking X amount percent more to get that benefit, and if so, what is that amount of Atlas's marginal impact on the volatility and variance of Atlas during volatile periods. So just wanted to mention that the more benefits there are, the more Atlas that's locked, and the more that translates into a more stable, less prone to volatility environment. But if anyone has any immediate questions or comments you want the econ team specifically to consider, feel free to share that. And Chris, if you have any comments, or Dom, feel free.
One thing I just want to say is I put the addendum in the comment section here, and I also put the feedback section in the comment section with that message. So if you guys want to read it, or you want to provide feedback on anything, please go there. That was the whole point of this kind of pre-release, is getting your guys' thoughts on all the different addendums and what you guys thought, and if we need to adjust anywhere. So yeah, go give it a read, give us your feedback, because it really matters. Anyways, Chris, I was talking over you there. Apologies.
Oh, no, all good. Yeah, take a look at it. I just noticed an error. I'm almost 100% positive that the new tier is actually tier 6, not tier 5. I believe it was the 22.6 million Atlas lock that is the new one, but small note there. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
I did want to reiterate what Gareth was saying. Like, yeah, some people might be able to speed up their respawn a little bit, which, like, the difference between locking 10,000 Atlas and 72 million Atlas is 20% faster respawn time. That's like a very small amount for a lot of Atlas. So, the benefit is not even that substantial to begin with. And even if you are concerned about that benefit and you think that that is, a game-breaking benefit, think about the good that is being done to the rest of the ecosystem when somebody locks up 72 million Atlas, right? So, when you think about it as the greater good, I think that it becomes a lot more palatable. All of these updates, you're benefiting from those people benefiting. Everybody wins when somebody locks Atlas. There's a question from Virtual.
I'll go ahead and read this one out loud just for the people watching the VOD. Chris, thoughts on having a time-locked bonus in the Atlas locker? I don't mean a longer cooldown. I mean rewarding people further that are locked longer. His concern is, what if people unlock during a bull run, dump the tokens, rebuy, and then relock?
Yeah, that was actually one of the concerns we had with respect to, like, some of these benefits. It's like, oh, you'll just lock for some period of time, especially if we only check the locker on the 7th of the month, and then you'll unlock. So I believe functionally, just like written into the blockchain code right now, is like you have to have been locked for like the previous, I can't remember if it's month or week or something like that, but there is a minimum lock duration kind of inherent in the actual code itself. But this idea of temporal locking, I really like it. I think it's a little bit scary because there's some compounding that could happen. You take 72 million Atlas and you compound that effect over time. Depending on how you compound it, that could accelerate very, very quickly. So,
yeah,
I like the idea, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As long as we're incentivizing properly, right? We want the incentive to be great enough that people don't feel like they're being scammed. Like, okay, I've got to lock my Atlas up for a year, that's kind of crazy. We don't want the benefit to be too low, but we also don't want the benefit to be too high, where it's like, oh, your discount increases by 1% for every month that you're locked with this, or something like that, where it's all of a sudden you've got a 3-year locker who's got some insane discount or something like that. But I do like this idea. It's not something that we have in the addendum as it currently stands, but it's certainly something that could be, I guess, implemented in the future if we want to go that route.
Something to briefly note as well. Atlas, especially during lower periods in price, does flow towards the player group, aka the residents and citizens group. Who are a lot of you guys in the audience, and who are the ones locking Atlas now and playing the game as you are now. So the biggest dump hold dynamic that happens during times of market volatility is reduced as Atlas flows into people's wallets who value the benefits highlighted in the addendum. And while the Atlas token is still like at the whim of our non-resident currency group, which are people that don't interact with the game at all, these tiers will help to keep Atlas and these incentives will help to keep Atlas in those player groups, disincentivizing quote unquote dumping during lower times. Being aware of price discussion, I don't want to get too into that, but this structure and the way we're taking the locker will reduce that effect much more than it currently is at the moment. And by at the moment, I mean the amount of currency being held by our non-resident currency group. So that is still a dynamic that'll play out, even with we could throw as many benefits as we want. There will still be emotional reactions to volatility, but this heads in the right direction towards separating Atlas from the rest of the markets through its utility and benefits in game and locking in the locker.
Very cool. Virtual, thank you for the comments, by the way. He did add on, just I'll just say it here. We don't have to get into it because I know you guys have some more slides, but he said there's definitely a sweet spot on the time locked multiplier. This could be big for smaller lockers, and the benefits would have to actually be carefully chosen. I think buffing the Atlas Point program versus greater discount would be optimal. Just something to keep in mind for you guys.
Sweet. Yeah, a lot to consider with the addendum. As Michael's outlined, we are open to features and changes that the community deems a priority. So again, we want this to be as great a net benefit for you guys and as it is for our perceived benefit to the current ecosystem. So yeah, thanks for the feedback. And if you guys have any more questions, we'll address them in the Q&A at the end. The last thing, and what Chris will probably jump in here to help with as well, is the free-to-play mechanic we touched on in the last addendum. So we have a few bullet points here. There are some things we will stay reserved on, as Chris will highlight, but briefly going through a couple of these points, and then I'll yield to you, Chris. But free-to-play is currently undergoing testing. Some team members in the call right now probably have had access, and Jose, who you guys are all familiar with, has also given his feedback. But some of the key features that we're really excited to bring with free-to-play is no wallet creation, no fees, BTD level of onboarding. That's referring to Balloon Tower Defense. If any of you guys have played Balloon Tower Defense, it's just one of those online games that you
OG OG web games, addictinggames.com, games.com. These levels of, you go to a website and all of a sudden you're just playing. Sorry.
Addictinggames.com. I'm sorry. You just sent me into,
Dude.
I don't even know what year you sent me into, dude. I was playing Stick Arena back then. Jeez.
I wonder
That's
if it's still around.
That's a way back.
Addictinggames.com. Oh,
I
wow.
bet, yeah, Betty. He sent me way back too. He sent me way back. Mini clap, yeah. He sent me way back.
Yeah, so you guys can see the excitement that everyone has for this on the team already, just based off of that comparison. But yeah, faster gameplay, mainnet on ramping, and Chris added this in at the end. Sage free to play is, dare I say, fun. So with that, I will get Chris to jump in here.
Oh, hello. He said, dare I say fun. He used the F word.
That's a word we don't like at this company. No, I'm just kidding. Or with respect to Sage, I can't count the number of times people are like, "Oh, Sage is cool, but it's not fun." So there's a bunch of for as similar as Sage free to play is to Sage mainnet, it is also very different. We mentioned that we are in the middle of testing, and basically the way that the test environment works is it is identical to the mainnet environment. It's just on a side chain that we have codenamed AtlasNet. This is a centralized blockchain that is, I think it's run by like 8 validators, and all of those validators are run by us at Automata. So the free-to-play product is unique, though, in that perhaps less interestingly or less importantly, it uses a whole new set of statistics for the ships or ship stats and recipe stats. So basically, all the numbers in the game are different than the mainnet version. There's some reasons for that I won't get into, at least not right now. Perhaps bigger than that is the fact that there is no wallet onboarding. The wallet, because this is a centralized blockchain, we're able to do a whole bunch of fancy stuff in the background without the player ever knowing. So the moment you go to the website, you're automatically created a wallet and you're automatically dropped assets into that wallet that allow you to play the game. So a bunch of transactions are fired off when you log in or when you go to the website. Transactions that otherwise on the mainnet game would have to be manually completed by you. So first of all, you'd have to go get yourself some ships. You'd have to go get yourself some Atlas, and you'd have to go get yourself some R4 in order to play the game. So in the free-to-play version, once you go to the website, you're automatically granted these assets for free. Now, they're not on-chain assets. They're not mainnet assets. These are all free assets. They should have no market value. Whether they have market value is completely irrelevant to the purposes of our company and the game. So we don't anticipate these things to have any value because you can create a wallet you can create as many wallets as you want, as many times as you want. So the fact that there's infinite supply should imply that there is, zero price. Okay, so you automatically have a wallet generated for you on this side chain. You automatically have a whole bunch of assets that are dropped into your wallet, and your profile is automatically created. So literally, it's just like, okay, what do you want your profile name to be? Cool. What faction do you want to be associated with? Awesome. Here's your faction. Here are your starting inventory. Now, here's where the magic of free to play is. We have a quest system built into the game that our CTO has been building out, and it's basically walks the player through all the steps of playing Star Atlas or Sage, one step at a time. It says, hey, welcome to Star Atlas. Why don't you go take a look at your inventory and try and get some ships into the game. So form some fleets. The ships will already be associated with the starbase. You don't even have to import the ships into the game. And you'll have those ships in the fleet, and in the starbase, and you'll just go and create yourself your first fleet. And then it'll say, oh, cool, you've got your first fleet. Why don't you undock? Okay, you've undocked. Well, first it'll ask you to load up cargo, and then you'll undock. You'll be doing all these things. You'll be going along kind of this almost story mode. And the way that free-to-play works is that the progression system is really just the crafting system. You're moving through the game, you're collecting resources, you're expanding your fleet through crafting recipes. So you'll be able to level up your fleet by crafting more and more ships and larger ships. So we're trying to craft the progression system such that it feels satisfying, but it's also not too rewarding and too quick. What we want is a system that operates on a monthly. We're not 100% sure what the cadence will be. We're thinking monthly or quarterly cadence, where players will basically do a map reset every single epoch, whether that's like I said, a month or a quarter. And the primary kind of objectives, right, or the primary kind of like I don't want to call it an earnings mechanism, but the primary reason for playing is that there's going to be a leaderboard, and we're going to have a small prize pool allocated to the free to play version of the game. And this prize pool is going to distribute rewards to the top performing accounts on the game. So what we'll have to do is we're going to have to enforce botting rules. I already have written up a botting algorithm that detects wallets, and we can ban those wallets because this is a free to play, centralized version of the game. So this is like very, very easy to do. We can ban a wallet if we suspect that they're, behaving maliciously. We can prevent, there's all sorts of different stuff that we can do to try to prevent kind of gaming of the system. We're not trying to create like a super, super hyper aggressive play to earn environment. We're just trying to create a little bit of spice so that players feel like they can, oh, cool. Okay. I'll try to get into the top 100 so that I can earn some sort of reward. We're talking a very, very small reward pool, especially when you compare to something like mainnet. The idea is not for this to be a financial reward. It's really supposed to be an onboarding tool. So when you get a reward, let's say if you're number one that season, you get a Thimble Air Bike or something like that. You would take that Thimble Air Bike, and maybe that's an underestimate of what the reward system would be like. But we're going to hand out, let's say, 10 Thimble Air Bikes in the free to play. This is an onboarding mechanism for players to get onto mainnet. So what it does is it says, hey, you've got a real Thimble Air Bike. You could go to the mainnet game and actually start earning real money instead of playing the free to play version where you're not making any money. So this is great for everybody because A, it creates a free to play version of the game that gets people in the door, but B, it helps grow the rest of the ecosystem by onboarding people into the mainnet version of the game. So it's a really, really, really profound addition to the game, to the ecosystem, not just, like I said, as kind of a fun thing for people to do, but also as an onboarding product for the mainnet version of the game to grow our player base.
I really, really like this because it just further emphasizes that you can come into Star Atlas with nothing, zero. But and you, if you try hard, if you work hard, you can definitely build your fleet up. And this just further emphasizes that there's a free way to do that now. Given that you try hard, you play hard, you'll get that air bike. You can get that air bike, go into mainnet and start doing things and build that air bike into maybe 2 air bikes, into maybe 2 air bikes into a Visa Solos into, I don't know, like a Pierce X6. And you just keep on going and keep on going. And all that journey started from free to play. So yeah, that's really cool, man. Really cool. I'm super excited for this.
Yeah, and I think with the rental system, it's going to be a really solid transition, right? You're going to start with free to play, which is free, and then you're going to go to fleet rentals where you're renting a bigger ship than you otherwise could afford. For, let's say, okay, I'm going to spend $1 a day on Star Atlas, and I'm able to rent I don't know, a medium ship or something. I have no idea what the going rates are right now, but maybe I'm able to rent a medium ship for a buck a day or something, or a small ship. That's way more firepower than I would have been able to afford if I had purchased it outright. And then, I build up myself a nice portfolio with the fleet rental system. And then maybe I go, okay, I'm going to go upgrade to an actual fleet. I'm going to buy my own. So it's a really, really beautiful funnel that we've created here with the combination of free to play and fleet rentals. So, obviously we have massive updates coming to Sage later in the year with the C4 update. But we are also going to have these other very vital improvements with Sage free to play and with Sage fleet rentals. These are just as important as upgrades to the game itself, these user onboarding improvements, because the reality is we can't grow Star Atlas without more players. We need more players, not just for the company, but also for the community. The more players there are, the better everything is for everybody. And this is not rocket science.
Completely agree. Very cool, guys. Very cool. Anybody have any questions?
I think into Q&A. Yeah.
Boom. Okay, we're moving on to Q&A. I want to make sure I get this question that we had from the beginning of the show before we get to new questions here. So I'm gonna go ahead and respond to this one just so you guys can read it while I read it. Okay, so Neil Armstrong said, I have a question for later. Is there any specific reason why you chose the 220-second time frame for the SDU change? What was taken into consideration for this time? How can this impact the rise of bases since they are now used massively in faction infrastructure contracts and in ship recipes?
Yeah, so the actual number itself was basically just chosen. The way that the timers are set is unique to the crafting recipe itself, but because SDUs are not crafting recipes, we actually set it to a default of 1 second when we launched the upgrading system. It was something that had been on our radar for a while. In fact, like we pushed the change probably 3 months ago. I think we might have pushed the change before the Christmas break. So it was something that, like, after a couple of months, we were like, oh shoot, we need to change this. Also, just seeing what was happening with respect to people being able to fill SDU upgrades incredibly quickly, faster than everything else. It was just a massive imbalance. So we wanted to change it. It's one of those things where, we have a lot going on at the company, limited resources. So it did get pushed off a little bit more than we would have liked. But anyway, update is now there to be more in line with other assets upgrading times. So if you look at the value, for example, that you get from a framework and the time it takes to install a framework, that relationship is now much more, we basically kept those relationships proportional for each of the assets, or at least attempted to. That includes SDUs. The relationship as a proportion of, kind of LP that you get per second of install time is now very much balanced with respect to frameworks, power sources, SDUs, everything that you could possibly upgrade with. Before, it was incredibly imbalanced. The per second LP from upgrading SDUs was massive. I mean, it was absolutely astronomical compared to other upgrades. So this whole purpose of this was to just try to bring things more in line with the other, bring things for SDUs more in line with the other resources. And 225 seconds is kind of the number that basically just was spit out when we did a simple proportional calculation.
Very cool. Ronald also had a question that I missed, and this was back with free to play. Does free to play come with LP and rentals?
So does free to play come without LP and rentals? So there will be no rentals. I mean, I guess we could add rentals. It would be interesting to see how that would impact the game. The fact that rentals have to be handled outside of the game makes me think that we're probably not going to launch with rentals, because we want this to be a one-click solution, right? We want it to be the case that a new player comes into Star Atlas, presses, clicks on one link, and all of a sudden they're playing the game. It would be very weird if we were also to say, okay, hey, we've got these rental things, go to this other website somewhere else, and try and figure this out. Rentals are very, very cool, but in their current state, they're not the most user-friendly / new player-friendly thing, right? If we're talking about a Web 2 user, I think fleet rentals are going to be a little above their head. The other thing is, because the fleet rentals is on our webpage, we would have to have a free-to-play version of the fleet rental system and a mainnet version of the fleet rental system. There's also no saying that the fleet rental system would even work on AtlasNet. Anyway, I will stop enumerating the reasons why. We're probably not going to launch fleet rentals in the free-to-play version. both technological and economic. It doesn't really make sense to have the fleet rental system in a free-to-play system anyway. With respect to LP, still developing on how many of the features end up in the free-to-play version. As it currently stands, the LP system, we're still on the fence. The LP system is necessary for the mainnet version for a number of reasons. One of them is because we have an Atlas emissions curve that is, it's deploying Atlas into the mainnet version of the game, and LP is one of the primary ways we're able to do that. It also has a desirable kind of control level that's great for controlling the emissions of the token and supporting price. Obviously, in today's market, it doesn't feel like this, but in order to support price stability, to what degree will all these features be implemented? We're not 100% sure. We're actually not even sure if upkeep will be in the game to begin with. And to be honest, the primary reason from my point of view isn't really to do with like, okay, what's feasible, how much, it's really just about that first time user experience. The whole point of free to play is so that new players, Web 2 players, can literally just come to this website, not even know they're playing a Web 3 game, and get onboarded into our ecosystem. Because that's just something we're really struggling with. And I think upkeep and Starbase upgrading might not be the most intuitive things for a new player coming in. So that's primarily why they might get the axe to start. I personally think combat would be much more important to implement before some of these other features. Like if I had to choose between getting combat into free-to-play or Starbase upgrading into free-to-play, I think I would choose combat. Just because that's a very natural, understandable thing for a new player who's maybe played EVE Online or they've dabbled in other MMOs. All of a sudden they say, they see this game that has Starbase upgrading, but it doesn't have combat. That could be kind of confusing. Versus combat, like I understand what go blow up a fleet means.
My monkey brain is like blow up spaceship.
Yeah, exactly. So, that was long-winded, but there you go, Ronald. You deserve a long answer.
Appreciate it. We have about 3 minutes left. Probably can take one more question. If anyone else has any general questions for the economics team, about anything, honestly, in the slide deck, or just a question for the economics team in general. This one. Okay, we have a question from Bodie. Is the 2x copper base providing 33% more copper and mud affecting the copper and associated component economies?
I can check the copper prices.
I didn't see any anomalous behavior.
As I said, I don't think there's anything crazy.
Because all that change essentially did was restructure and bring up to par the interfaction benchmarks for resource production. So we did see changes in supply route preference and freighting preferences, but overall there hasn't, at least in the macro, there hasn't been any like massive change in market dynamics specifically for like copper related activities. But again, there's always room for some changes in the micro. So
I'd be curious to look at the local market price discrepancies between MUD and the other factions.
That'd be interesting.
My data's not loading right now. Otherwise, I would just do it right now. But
cool. Appreciate the answer, guys. And you guys are aware that was a change about 3 months ago, right? I just wanted, Buddy was saying, and I just wanted. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Well, I think we're here. We're done here. I think that was Economic Forum number 10. Chris, Gareth, thank you as usual for coming here, spending an hour with the community and myself, and answering some questions, going over what's going on in general at Star Atlas. So appreciate you guys as always. Not sure if you guys want to say anything to close us out, but feel free. If not, we can close things here. Up to you guys.
I guess I'll just say thank you. I think this is the most I've talked in an economic forum yet.
Hell yeah.
Just with so many things going on. Sometimes got to take up the slideshow moderator role. But yeah, hope you guys are excited. A lot of exciting stuff coming. Fleet rentals have been promised for a while. Finally here. Make the most out of it. But it's just the tip of the iceberg for what we have coming. So thanks again.
Everybody give a huge
W.
Yeah, big W to Raph, because he was the architect behind this month's forum. I've been busy working on stuff that I can't talk about publicly here at Automata. So he kind of took over and got us together an awesome presentation. So huge W to him. And thank you guys for coming. We will see you at the next one.
Chris, Garrett, thank you guys so much. Shout out to Garrett. Thank you so much, brother. All right, everybody. Have a good rest of your week. What's left of it, www.wrath.com. Absolutely. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Ciao, ciao.